Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today for round 3 of season 3 for the Chinese Grand Prix. If you guys missed the first 2 rounds, you can go watch them by clicking the link down below in the description or in the card in the top right hand corner of the screen. And get up to speed before we jump into any spoilers in this episode, guys, because for this weekend we are here at China, and once again it's another one of those strong tracks for the AI. We did Bahrain last time, and now we've got China, and then we've got Baku after this. In terms of this weekend though, we've got nice, dry conditions, not really much sun, it's mainly overcast, but still good news as well. We've got our first 2 upgrades of the season on the car in the form of the chassis, so 2 minor chassis upgrades on the car straight away. The bad news is a lot of other teams have brought upgrades as well, so we're not the only ones improving here this weekend. Racing Point getting very close to us there, and we actually closed the gap slightly to Mercedes and Haas as well. Mercedes not really bringing any major upgrades, so yeah, it's not a big push, a big gain from us, but hopefully the big boost will come later on. We do have an ultimate engine upgrade on the way for Baku, so if we can just add a few more upgrades going into that race, which will be the one after this episode, then hopefully we'll have a pretty strong package going into that race and going into the European season. But guys, you can see on the screen right now, we're currently taking part in practice, and pretty decent session. We actually maximised all the points. I think we were 10 off, I believe, from getting the full 100% score, as we fell short in the qualifying performance test, and we got a green instead of a purple score, but still a good amount of points. I believe 335 in total, and a very positive session and some good points to put away into the R&D bank, as we hopefully will spend some of those at the end of this episode. And that's kind of the plan, really. The development's going to be just continuous, non-stop, all the time now, every single race, and we're just going to try and keep bringing things every single race if possible, and try and improve the car at all costs. But yeah, we're going to jump into qualifying, and we're going to see how this session gets on here. A very overcast Shanghai International Circuit, and I do feel relatively confident. I think we can do okay. I did notice in practice the car was very, very understeery, regardless of how much wing I'd put on. It did feel like I had trouble. As in Q1, you can see I have a bit of a moment, actually go for a spin. Luckily for us, I didn't really lock up the tyres that much, I didn't really skid that much, so I'm going to try and turn the car around slowly and not burn the tyres up and go for a run on these tyres as we have a slow recovery lap. But yeah, back to my point, I had a lot of understeer, I could really feel it, and regardless of the aero I put on the car, it just seems like it's just a constant understeer, which leads me to believe we need to do some aerodynamic upgrades because the car is struggling. It seems like the engine's too fast for the aero to keep up and keep the car down and planted, so we're going to have to do some work on the aerodynamics. And yeah, also, if you look at the bottom right, I've had a lot of comments recently saying my pedals are not working properly. Turns out my pedals are not working properly indeed. I've already contacted Logitech to try and get this sorted out, and hopefully I'll have a solution soon, because it seems to be affecting my cornering with the brake and the accelerator kind of messing up a little bit when it comes to the inputs. If you look at the pedal in the bottom right, both my brake and my accelerator aren't working properly, so it is affecting the way I take corners and my entry and also exit out of them. By the way, in Q1 you can see currently we are P15 here on the bubble, and I have to go again. I had to use actually a fresh set of tyres, which is something I don't like to do, but I had to do it because we were in trouble here. P15, we were actually about a 10th behind Bottas, and then there's a half a second gap to the next car, so even Ricciardo is much, much quicker than me this weekend. Across the line though, we are going to improve by nearly 2 tenths. Will it be enough to get us into Q2 though? We're currently P15. Is it going to be P15 at the end of the session? Yes, it is. And there's Daniel Ricciardo, P13, only 2 places up the road, but still 4 tenths in his pocket, and he done 1 run less than me. So Ricciardo's definitely got the edge on me around here. But now we're going to jump into Q2, and I only had 1 fresh set of soft tyres left, so this is going to be my 1 and only lap in this session, because I can't use the used set because they're too worn, because tyre wear around here is very high. So straight away into turn 1, throwing the car in as it now tightens up for turn 2, trying to pick up that apex. You can see what I mean by the understeer. It just takes forever for the front end to bite into the corner, and then onto the power nice and smoothly out of turn 3, and so far so good. They're very nice and tidy first couple of corners as we go through turn 4 down towards turn 5, breaking down to first gear actually to get the rotation, and a very nice run through there, nice and smooth, and good traction there on the exit as we now go into the nice left-right kind of quick corners on the track combo here. My 2 favourite corners on the racetrack as we throw the car off to the left and then into the right, trying to keep a relatively tight line as we now open up the next left. And these 2 corners are probably my least favourite corners on the racetrack, as it's so hard to get traction down through here, but we actually do pretty good and get some pretty good momentum through there as we now go towards the end of sector 2, in towards now the kind of tricky left-hander here. We're kind of very easy to lock up, and now flipping the car right as we go in towards the kind of stadium section, all along this long banked right-hander, and now onto the back straight here, overtake ERS engaged, and we're now going to open up DRS here on the second to third straight, And yeah, we're just going to try and floor it now and see how we get on for the rest of the lap. Breaking at the 100-meter board as the reference, down to first gear, pick up your apex, and then try and get the power smoothly here on the exit. Avoid the curve on the left as it will upset traction. And now into the final corner here, down a couple more gears, throw the car in, and then use the curb on the exit as we open up the RS, a little bit more overtake across the line, and we do go P12. Pretty good lap, my quickest lap of the weekend by about 2 tenths. We actually went 2 tenths quicker than Q1, so the best I could really do, to be honest. There was no more pace on the table. Eventually we got pushed down to P14. Daniel Ricciardo actually got through in P10, so fair play to Rick Bobby there, but yeah, we struggled in that session, and all weekend long Ricky's had the pace on us, and yeah, it is what it is, you know. Not all race is going to be a good one for us. We're going to commit to this. I'm currently racing on 104% AI around here, and we did 106 in Bahrain and 108 in Australia, so this goes to show how strong the AI are here. But either way, guys, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race for round 3 for the Chinese Grand Prix. Let's try and turn this around.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before the braking zone of turn 14. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Pierre Gasly yesterday puts him on pole, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Weber, Butler, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sainz, Vettel, Leclerc, Magnussen, and Sergio Perez. Russell, Raikkonen, Lando Norris, Martinez, Bottas, Stroll, Max Verstappen, and Daniel Kvyat. Giovinazzi and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, starting from P14, not the best one, and on the 7th row alongside a McLaren. Good job from Ricciardo to qualify really high up, and of course in Q3 doing a good job, along with the glitch to get pretty high up the grid. But either way, I'm not complaining, and hopefully he brings out some decent points after retiring from the last race in Bahrain. We're going to try and do our best for the team here today and try and bring some points home. The target for me is just to score points, wherever that may be, again, just like the last race, because we are going to have the advantage of, you know, starting on the free charger tyre, going on the mediums, and then onto the hard. So that's going to be the one-stop strategy here today. But we do have the disadvantage of the fact that we're just not very quick. So it's going to be quite interesting. I think coming for an interesting race. And fuel-wise, we're 1.2 laps over. A little bit heavier than usual because I'm going to use Rich Mix quite a lot on that back straight. But guys, we're going to jump into it here and see how we get on for round 3 for the Chinese Grand Prix. And let's see if we can try and turn this result around and end the weekend strongly. And going to Baku with some big upgrades on our cars. So let's jump into it. It's time for the Chinese Grand Prix. Right, here we go. Let's build up the revs. And then get ready for the 5 red lights here at Shanghai. 5 lights are out. Actually, pretty good start. We actually matched the AI there for once, which is refreshing to see. And there's something different. We're on the outside line here. I'm going to try and make my way down to the inside. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Contact there with George Russell as he tries to turn in on me there. He's on the inside line. He's got the advantage. We're going to try and get the power down, but I can't get the power down because Russell's holding the inside line. He's going to take the position. Late on the brakes, down the inside of the Williams. I have to get on the brakes to avoid hitting Kevin Magnussen, but we are going to get past George Russell and become the lead car on the medium tyres, which is what we want. So really good start there, being aggressive, but it pays off. And we get past a bunch of cars. Got Kevin Magnussen in front of us here, then it's both of the Renaults very far down, and then Ricciardo in front of them. So we've already made a massive jump here and a big leap in terms of positions, getting ourselves in amongst it straight away. Car feels pretty good actually, already on medium tyres in race trim. Compared to the understeer in qualifying, it feels okay now. A lot more raceable. But so far so good as we go into the back straight. Let's test our straight line speed, see what we're like. I forgot to adjust my front wings. I was actually running 9.7 wings after qualifying, and I meant to go 8.7 for the race, and I forgot to adjust it. So we'll get that change in the pit stops. But for now, we're going to have to just stick with it as Ricciardo gets double overtaken by both of the Renaults, who of course we know are really, really fast on the straights. But lap 1 draws to a close, and we're P11 on the cusp of points. I'll consider that a very successful opening lap. As we move on to lap 2, good stuff. Let's try and get a move on and try and have a decent race. Looks like Daniel's about to be overtaken here by Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. As you'd expect, that Haas car a lot quicker than the Ferrari. Meanwhile, the Mercedes are causing trouble in front of us, as of course they're starting to drop through the field as well from their higher starting position, and it's creating some big battles in front as we've gone to lap 3 now, and DRS will be enabled. So let's try and cling on to Ricciardo's rear end and try and pick up the DRS.
DRS is now enabled and will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
Meanwhile, you can see on the mini map the Red Bulls already putting some serious daylight between themselves and the rest of the competition. Well, that's fantastic. DRS offline. Just when we got within range, we've lost it again. That's the second time this season, or third time now we've actually had that problem. So that's not ideal. We're going to be in trouble here. I'm relying on just pure slipstream from my own teammate. Luckily enough, Russell isn't quite on my rear wing, so he's not going to really put me under any pressure. Let's see if we can try and make some moves here. My DRS is still offline, but I feel somewhat confident I can still make it happen without DRS. The soft tyres are starting to fade now already. There are a lot of cars may pit in this lap already. So let's try and make some moves happen. If not, we'll just keep using the slipstream. I feel like Ricciardo's struggling here, and I can make a move on him. But you know, if we don't have DRS, it's going to be quite tricky. Ricciardo does have DRS, so there you go. You can see the difference. We're just not able to compete on the straight. Just going to follow him for now. That Mercedes side by side with Magnussen there, as those two battle it out. Let's see who pits in this lap. Well, okay, nobody. Surprising. Very surprising. Not having DRS is quite frustrating because I'm starting to have the pace advantage now over my teammate, and also the Mercedes as well. The medium tyres are starting to come into their own, the softs are starting to fade. But because I don't have DRS, it's just not happening, unfortunately. We can't really make it happen on the straight. You'll see now. We'll probably get very close to Rick Bobby here and try and get a good exit, but because he'll pick up DRS in the car in front, we're going to struggle to pass him unless we're very close. To be fair, this is closer than last lap. This could do it. Use overtake. This is my chance to catch him now before DRS becomes available. There we go. We're getting a bit of a slipstream here. We're going to try and tuck in. Down the inside double front lock-up. We're going to take the position there. Let's see if any cars pit in. Those soft tyres surely must be screaming now as Magnussen pits in. There you go. Ricciardo stays out. So Magnussen first one to bite the bullet. We're up to P9 then. 2 places gained in a couple of corners, which is good. Let's try and catch up to Devon Butler here on these better tyres. The medium is now starting to really be a strong tyre. We need to make these laps count. I think the Renault's got a problem here. Devon Butler is all over the back of him. And that Renault should normally, 9 times out of 10, be storming away from the Mercedes. So that Renault, reliability issues it seems, as Devon Butler's going to try and make the move here. We've got no DRS once again. So I'm relying on just pure slipstream to try and gain on the straight a little bit. That Renault goes defensive and locks up both fronts. Will they both pit in this lap? That's what I'm expecting. Surely they can't drag the softs out any longer. And the Renault stays out. That's Sebastian Vettel. Butler pits in along with Charles Leclerc. So Sebastian Vettel, I think, with car trouble unless his tyres is overheating. Let's try and put him under pressure. My former teammate from last season, and the one teammate I've known so far in this entire career mode up until Ricciardo arriving. And you can see him struggling in the corners. We're going to put him under pressure here. Not the best direction. I was hoping to get the exit and the traction and put him under some serious pressure down towards turn 5. But it wasn't to be. He's very early on the brakes though, so we'll keep an eye on that. My tyres are struggling here. Got to be careful with my own, of course. Don't want to overdo it. But Sebastian is struggling. Can we go on the outside here? I thought about it. I might still go for it. No, Sebastian just takes a bit of a wider line. But we are getting held up here.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Copy Copy that.
We're not going to stay out any longer on these if we can avoid it through the banking. This is going to be good. We're going to get alongside Sebastian here. We won't have DRS, so actually we do. There we go. He's come back online finally. DRS is back. Quicker the Renault go, but we're going to power back, fight back against the Renault, and there we go. Re-overtake. Down the inside, get slowed down. Job done. And finally we're past Sebastian Vettel off the P6 as more cars pit in. Surely not everyone will pit in. Notice Sebastian still stays out, but everybody else in front has come in except for I believe one Red Bull.
Daniel's in the pits.
Look at the speed difference. Sebastian coming at me into turn 1, but Lewis stays out. So we're up to P2 in this race on the mediums. The one stop is going to be a strong strategy. I've got to say, it's going to give us a big chance this race. Those soft tyres are not very good, and we've had a good race so far. Let's try and shake off Sebastian Vettel, who's clearly struggling in his car. Lewis Hamilton pits in for the hard tyres, surprisingly, so he's going to try and stretch that to the end of the race. That's a very long stint. Meanwhile, George Russell's got past Sebastian, so he's trying to keep me in his sights. Lando Norris as well, McLaren and Williams not giving up on me just yet. They want to try and maybe race me here to the finish and try and beat me on the same strategy. Good lap there, matching my personal best pretty much. As Lewis takes second place, the Red Bull's getting a move on now. Let's see if we can try and keep him behind. I think the medium's still a good tyre. We're lapping at a consistent pace. That's what we want around here, because finding consistency on such a tyre is quite tricky, especially with the high tyre weight, high tyre temperature. It's very difficult around here, so we're doing a good job so far. We've got no traffic, nobody overtaking us. This is what we want, to have a good race. We just want to race by ourselves and do our own thing and be uninterrupted.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the hards.
Good pace, matching my personal best. Lewis didn't really gain that much on that lap, about 7/10. That's fine by me. We can keep this going. That's great for strategy. I fancy myself though, I really do. I think we've got a good crack at this race of making something decent happen. Depends how many cars are two-stopping though. Okay, this is going to be a very simple pass for Lewis. I'm not going to fight it. We're doing our own thing. We've had some very strong laps and I want to try and keep it that way and not waste any time. So we're going to let Lewis take the racing line, preferably, because the AI behave better when they're on the racing line going into the next corner. They don't really take stupid lines. If they take the inside line, they tend to take strange lines. I want to try and avoid that. And we should pick up the RS as well, which is good on the pit straight. So we keep the pace up. Weber's stuck in that train behind. He can't get any progress, so I'll get through it. So we're doing great here. We're just keeping pace with the Red Bulls, which is something I didn't expect by that hard tyre.
Let's box this lap.
Not quite quick enough, and the medium is still quite good. It's holding on quite nicely, so we're going to have the advantage of much fresher tyres. We are going to go into the hards this lap, but there'll be a lot quicker tyre and a lot fresher than those around us. So we're going to have a big advantage. Let's just try and hang with Lewis as best as we can this lap. So we're going to pit in. Right then. Good stint. Let's pit in. Into the pit entry. A bit of a drift there, but we'll take it. Get it all slowed down. There we go. Nice and aggressive. Very solid stint. Those last 5-6 laps, very, very good. Let's not get held up now. Come on, nice quick stop, boys.
Exit now. You'll be racing as you leave the pits. Release, release.
That's what I'm talking about. We didn't get held up there. Very, very important. We would have lost time to 2 different cars. But we just got released in the nick of time. We're currently P6 here, about to be P7.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Look at that, P7, just in front of Carlos Sainz. So the overcut working out beautifully, as it has done quite a lot in recent times, going back to the end of last season. And we're now right in this race. Fresh hard tyres going to the end of the race. This could be quite decent for us. Looking pretty good. Do I fancy myself to pick up the fast lap of the race? Probably not. Even though I don't think the quick cars are going to set a faster lap. I just don't fancy myself. I don't think we've got enough pace. But we're just going to focus now and try and score as many points as possible. I think that's easily doable. We've got a little bit less front wing on the car now because we've got that request to turn it down a bit. So I think we should have a bit more balance. It's going to be a little bit tricky for the corners, but I think we're going to make up on the straights, which we struggled with quite a lot. And any overtakes will be a lot easier to produce now, which is good news. Antonio Giovinazzi, first retirement of the Grand Prix in the Alfa Romeo. Not sure where he is on track, but probably nowhere near us, somewhere towards the back. As more cars pit in, so we're going to get a few places here. Let's see where we really are. This will give us a true idea of our actual position. Magnussen in front of mediums will have to pit in because he's on a two-stopper. So I think there's a podium for grabs here, possibly, depending on pit stops and strategies, but I think it is possible. Here we go then. We've got Williams in the pit lane. I believe that's going to be George Russell. No, it's Kimi Räikkönen. So there we go, up to P6 now. That's good. George Russell should pit in this lap, so let's see. Actually, no, I think, no mind, Russell actually pit in with us, just remembered. So we're P6, Magnussen's got to come in. There's a racing point in front of him that's also got to pit in as well. So P4 at least, which is looking good. Personal best into the 133s quite comfortably now. And then we've just crept within a second of Kevin Magnussen here. We're going to have tyres for days. These hards pretty much don't go off around here. They can last forever. So it could be a double overtake on the cards here. I think that racing point is in the hard tyres. It hasn't pit yet. So I think we're going to catch up at the same time. Oh, they both pit in at the same time. So that's going to release me now as we pick up a track extension there at the final corner. Personal best 33.3 and up to P4 in this race. Very tasty. If you look behind me on the minimap, you've got Sainz, you've got both of the Mercedes. There's a Renault in there. That's Sebastian Vettel, of course, on the recovery, so he might still come back at me. But overall, we've got past both of the Mercedes, the Williams, Sainz, just because we stayed out, had some very good, consistent personal best laps back to back to back, and also avoided the chaos of the pit lane when cars have to stack up. You know, it timed itself beautifully, really, and it's all worked out nicely. We've actually got more pace than Sainz, and I'm actually pulling away, so we deserve this. Race pace has been much stronger, cars been much better on Sunday, and it's funny because the difficulty is exactly the same as qualifying. Yeah, and Saturday we could not compete at all, so funny how it works out, but not something new in this game. It's something I'm used to. Seems like Sebastian Vettel's car is working again. He's just got past Carlos Sainz and it's on the hard tyre, so he's going to the end of the race. So we're going to have to battle Sebastian here to hang on to P4 in this race because he's getting a move on now. And we've got 10 whole laps to go. Okay, so update. My pace is very good, running in the mid 33s every single lap. And Sebastian Vettel's gaining about 7/10 a lap on me. I reckon he'll probably catch me by the end of the next lap. So buckle up, it's going to get interesting. Oh wow, that caught me out. Sebastian just absolutely sent one at turn 5. A little bit of oversteer there, but we're going to just about get the exit on him. That Renault is so quick. Warning for collision with Sebastian Vettel, but I mean, it's racing, what can you do? We managed to just stay in front though. Sebastian catching me out there. I completely fell asleep. I did have hot lap enabled. I really didn't think he would go for the lunge there. That's something that they do very well this game. They do send one down the inside when you don't expect it. But it's going to be quite tricky behind. He's merely running at a very high engine mode at the minute. And his straight line speed is ridiculous, like absolutely unreal. So we're going to struggle to hold him behind, I think. Onto the back straight. I've got a little bit of VRS. Well, plenty of VRS, but I've got a little bit of fuel saved up. Now he's going to open up DRS here. Here he comes.
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
On the apex, I'm a little bit tight. Side by side, we're going to just get the power down and stay in front. Okay, this could be a bad one. This is the one that's going to hurt me, I think. Down towards turn 1. This is one where you don't want to go side by side. You can avoid it. There we go, we stay in front for now. We'll take that.
Okay, update on the car for you. Tyres are looking very nice. Shouldn't have to worry about the wear too much right now.
Oh, it's a big lock up. I just touched the curb and I locked up both fronts. That's going to hurt me quite badly. Oversteer there as well. Here comes Seb. He's going to get the run very early on this time. He's going to now get DRS. I'm going to try and put the squeeze on him here, my former teammate. Giving him no room at all. Around the outside of the hairpin onto the marbles. We're going to get the better line. Around the outside. Can we hold on to this? Inside for the final corner. We're going to pick up the DRS. Let's go. I'm going to swipe across. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Seb trying to go down the inside there into turn 1. Too much though. Man, this is intense. I'm sweating. This is a big scrap. Oh, understeer kicking in again there, but we're just going to hold on. Seb's going to challenge again, I think. Yes, he is. We're going to have to go defensive. Seb late on the brakes. Shades of 2017, but we're just going to release the brake mid-corner and put the squeeze on. As we hold on to P4 here. Oh, Seb's really going for it this time. You can see in the mirrors. He even was catching up to me without DRS. This time you can see that Renault stretching its legs. Seb covers the inside. Straight away. Let's try and stay with him here. I'll get DRS now in the pit straight. Come on, can we return the favour here? One last chance. Can we come back at him? Oh, that's too risky. Wasn't feeling it there. I pulled out a bit late because I really was expecting Sebastian to go defensive, but he didn't go defensive into turn 1, which kind of threw me off a bit. And I moved very late. So that's that then. Sebastian's made the move. GG's. Good scrap. Let's bring home P5. Right then, so Lewis wins the Chinese Grand Prix. GG's to him. And it's going to be Weber P2, Perez P3 and Sebastian Vettel P4. The status quo, if you will, of Renault and Red Bull continues. We, though, managed to get a fantastic P5. And again, match our best result from Australia. Really good race as we run out of fuel. Grazie ragazzi, forza Ferrari, e buon lavoro, grazie.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Right, so here we have the final race results as Lewis wins the Chinese Grand Prix ahead of Lucas, Weber and Sergio Perez, and that's the top 3 with Sebastian Vettel in P4. The status quo continues between the 2 top teams on the grid. Lewis Hamilton picking up the purple lap and the extra point here today as we come home P5. And then Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly and Kimi Raikkonen ran out of the top 10. Daniel Ricciardo only P14. But this race kind of summarises the strategy. You know, we was really good today and it was all on point. You know, the overcut was really powerful, and our strategy was always going to be the way to go, and we managed to beat the 2 stoppers, but also there was a surprising amount of 1 stoppers. But if you look at the gaps on track, and also remember on the minimap, Magnussen, Norris, Raikkonen, Gasly, Leclerc, Russell and Sainz were all in a multi-car battle, and we avoided all of that by going long on the first stint and then rejoining in clean air, which kind of gave us the P5, to be honest. But in terms of the standings after that race, we are still P5 behind the top 2 teams, as you'd expect, and then Charles Leclerc down in P6. He's 15 points behind me, so we've got a nice little buffer and a nice cushion there to the Haas driver. Carlos Sainz P7, Pierre Gasly P8, and then we've got Russell and Magnussen running out the top 10. Then Ricciardo still P12, and the only points today were the ones he picked up in his home race in Australia. In terms of the constructors, we're still P3, and we've got 12 points over Haas, which is good. How long can we hold on to that? We'll find out, but we're now going to jump into the laptop and throw on some upgrades going into the next race at Baku, because I'm looking forward to it. I think it could be quite tasty, and you know what? I think it could be the way to go, because we've got that ultimate engine upgrade already on the way for the next race. Let's try and add to that and make it a very strong upgrade package going into the last race before the European season. Let's jump into the laptop.
What's it like seeing your old F2 teammate up on the podium today? You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you? You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you? Can you comment on your fuel issues during the race? Great. Well, that's everything.
Okay, so here we are then on the laptop, and we have 1,423 points to spend on upgrades, and we're going to do some here today, and it's going to be an investment in the aerodynamic side of things, because it's something we need to improve upon. So we're going to try and buy both of these. We should have just about enough points to purchase both of them, and there we go. We're going to have 4 points left over, but that's going to give us a double aero upgrade, and we're actually going to jump Mercedes in the pecking order, and that's good news. For the next race, we also have, of course, the ultimate engine upgrade on the way, and you can see in the bottom right, we should hopefully overtake Mercedes and McLaren in the next race if all upgrades arrive. Fingers crossed they do, and nothing happens, and we'll be the 5th quickest team once again in Formula 1, and the recovery is well on its way. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Career Mode, and if you did enjoy it, drop a like on the video, and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 content, and turn on notifications to not miss any videos from me, and finally check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one very soon, but until then, it's goodbye from me.